Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am your host today, Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent. And today we're diving into an eye-opening story straight from the internet. A woman's boyfriend who makes $200,000 a year proposed with a $38 ring from Temu. Now, she's questioning what it all means. Is the cost of the ring a reflection of how much he values her? Or is this a wake up call about his priorities? We'll explore deeper questions about finances, commitment, and what really matters in a relationship. But today I'm actually joined by my awesome panel, our royal court, of course, kings and queens. We have Erica Lewis, author of Faith in Transition, Moya, tax professional and creator of Juneteenth School. And we have Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wealth coach, and educator. Hello, Royal Court. I am so glad to have you here today. I can't wait to see what kind of conversations we are going to have around this. But listen to you, family out there who's watching us right now. I want to hear what your comments are too. So go ahead, start typing them in because we're going to have some deep conversations. So let's kick this off with the video of how this kind of got us talking about it. Here we go.
My husband just told me that my engagement ring is the same one that he bought for his ex-fiancé. And I don't even know what to do right now. I came home and I was talking about how much I love this ring. Now, I do. It's beautiful. I love it so much. And he was like, oh yeah, Erica loved it too. And I was like, Erica, the other girl you're going to marry? Like, you guys were engaged for a whole year? And he goes, yeah, it's the same ring that I gave to her. What? I don't even know how to feel right now. He didn't even pick it out for me.
Okay, so the story gets deeper, y'all. Not only was the ring like $38 off of Temu, he didn't even pick a new ring for her. He had proposed to another person with this ring. So this story is a little confusing in that fact, and it talks about both aspects, but it's still a really good talking point about what's going on. So I want to know your initial thoughts. What is your initial reaction after hearing about this story? And does the price really matter? And I'm going to throw it to Erica first.
Of course, because the first girl name was Erica. Just for clarity, it wasn't me. I didn't get the ring first. You know, when I first saw this, I thought it was a joke. I saw it, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm like, what? And yeah, I mean, if we're recycling rings, I mean, how serious is he taking this? There are some people that get in relationship after relationship not because they love the person, but because they're in love with love. Some people love. They love being in a relationship. And my thing is, if he used that $38 ring, it's a carrot. He's using it as bait for something. I mean, yeah, that was my first initial reaction was this. Yeah, he's a serial relationship guy, and he doesn't want to. Why would I spend $3,800 on a ring that I'm going to take back because I have no intentions on really marrying you or staying in this relationship if he did marry her? Another thing I want to point out is she talked about him making $200,000 a year. $200,000 today and making it $200,000 in the 80s, that's different money. So he's really making a whole lot of money. I mean, he's making some money, but he ain't making, $38,000 engagement ring money.
Right.
So, It's
Right. It's all
there's
about
a
perspective of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And location, y'all. Let's not
and
forget about that.
location.
In Kentucky, that's totally different than LA or New York, right?
Listen, in New York, that's the equivalent to making maybe $75,000-$80,000 a year because the taxes alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll get you. They'll get you. Well, I'm going to throw it to the king of the panel. What was your initial thought on this? And do you think he's being cheap? Can't hear you.
My bad. There's two different issues right here. Okay, first, cheap. It doesn't matter. You know, like y'all saying, $200,000. He could be living check to check. That $38 might be all he has. You know, so he might go to Temu and you know, maybe he should have waited and saved up his money, or maybe he just said, forget it. You know, let me just go ahead, you know, get myself attached to this woman and committed to her for as soon as I can. But that's a separate issue from the fact that he took the ring from somebody else and they gave it to this woman, but she still had it on. Now let me ask y'all as women. Now, the minute that man tells you that it's somebody else's ring, are you going to continue to wear it? That's the question I would have. She still has it on. She's still talking about she loves it, putting it in the camera. So you know, I feel like either you know this is all cap, or you know, she just about to settle anyway. So she might be worth a $38 used ring.
That's a good perspective. Well, you know what? I am really weird. Most people think that I'm strange. So I could care less how much the ring cost. What I do care about is, did you consider enough? Did you consider enough to put thought into what that ring would look like on my finger as your wife? That would bother me way more than the price of the ring.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. The cost of the ring is irrelevant. It just that part is irrelevant. It's the fact that it was somebody else's ring that's more troubling, uh, for me. You know, if $38, who cares, man? That stuff
Who
doesn't
cares?
matter to us. And if it does
People
matter
lose
to
their
you, you know,
People
it's
lose
okay.
their wedding rings all the time. A good friend of mine, she got married. We graduated high school in 91 and she got married New Year's Eve of 91. And they renewed their wedding vows 20 years later. And he bought her this amazing set. And she was in the kitchen cooking and put it in paper towel, put it up on the windowsill, had her daughter clean the kitchen, and away went the ring. She had that ring 30 days.
Mm,
Gone. I think
Oh,
he spent
mm.
25 or $30,000 on it. And they even went to the landfill. They lived in Michigan. They even went to the landfill where the trash was and looked in the trash in the area.
oh my
See,
He
God, I can't imagine.
now
was
if you got that,
livid,
now if you got
livid.
that, if you got that 2 for 1 from Timo,
Yeah,
don't
it
worry.
would have been fun. Like, here you go, right here's another one. I get you one just like, you know what?
Don't worry,
Maybe
baby.
it's one
I got one in the
from
back. Don't worry
Moya.
about
Well, what was crazy? What was crazy? She called and told me first that she couldn't find it, and I'm like, well, what the hell you want me to do? She thought she was gonna try to replace it, but when she found out how much it cost, she's like, well, maybe I can buy an imitation of it. And I said, girl, you need to come clean on that. Don't lie to that man. You need to come
No.
clean. And she came clean, and I thought he was gonna move out. I really thought he was gonna leave her.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah.
that's
That's a
serious.
that's a that's
That's a
a
lot
huge
of money.
purchase.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's a
money
huge
to be
purchase.
irresponsible with.
Yeah, I'm not playing with
Mhm.
that. Moya, we haven't even got a chance to talk to you because we just throwing this all out there. What is your initial thought on this? Does it matter? Does this matter? There's two issues here, but I want to hear what you got to think about it.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, so when me and my ex, when we first got together, he actually gave me a cubic zirconium ring. And he was like, I'm so sorry. We were like 19 and 20. It's like, I'm so sorry. It's not real. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. It's not real, but this is what I have. And then years later, he went and got an actual ring. And I was like, I love this one. And he was like, I just felt so bad. And I'm just so grateful that you would even wear that ring. So I think it depends. I would feel some type of way knowing that he got it from Temu though. Like Temu, it just sounds cheap. And so I would feel some type of way.
I have an allergy to any kind of nickel or anything like that, so I cannot wear false jewelry. It just would, honey, I would my hands would swell so much you probably would have to have cut off. But I mean, there is a level to cheapness, but I want to put something in perspective for you. Okay, listen. Let's talk about what the old school rule used to be. The old school rule says that the gentleman should pay 2 to 3 months' salary. Now, if this gentleman is making $200,000, he would be paying anywhere from $33,000 to $50,000 for the ring. Okay, $33,000 to be about 2 months worth of pay and $50,000 for the ring. I'm sorry. I don't want to be carrying around that on my finger. I don't want that. That to me could be spent so many different ways. So I'm going to ask you, Erica, if you had the choice of a $33,000 ring or possibly a down payment on a house, which one would you choose?
Let's get that house. Let's get a down payment on the house, because you know what? Like I said, my friend lost her ring. Diamonds fall out of rings. I mean, when we get to our 15th or 20th wedding anniversary, if you want to get me a $33,000 ring, thank you so much. We weathered the storm through some things. We done raised some kids. We done paid off this house almost. I mean, but I even feel that way about $200,000 and $300,000 weddings. Some things it's just like, stop. Let's micro wedding this thing. Let's go on down to the courthouse and we can have a cute little get together with a little bit to eat with these people that we like and love, and send them home, and let's get on with our lives. Like the way it's
brought that up, because check this out. The average wedding in the United States of America is $33,000.
That's insane. That somebody lives off that. Like that's somebody's salary
and all that stuff. But $33,000 for a wedding. So now you're talking ring, wedding. You're almost up to $100,000 just on a marriage alone. Moya, how could you see this money being spent better? Even if you took a smaller ring or just a band, how could you see you putting this money into something that can return on value? And do you care? Would you rather have the ring, or would you have something else?
Well, it really depends, because it really depends on where we live and what's our environment. So I can understand why you would want a bigger ring. I could definitely understand that. I also know that there's more of a benefit when you have a home, when you have investment properties. Definitely. So I think it just depends on where you guys are at in your marriage and in your life.
I agree. So you mentioned house. So let me give you another stat. You ready for this? The median price, and I'm taking America as a whole because some places are higher, some places are lower. But the median price of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house in America is about $420,000. And that with a FHA down payment of 3.5%, that's $14,700. And if you're using a conventional loan with 20% down, that's $84,000. That still kind of falls into the range of what we're talking about, of what a 2 to 3 month fee would be for a ring if you were making $200,000. So we're going to dive into that too, but I think we all going to sit back and take a deep breath on this because we got more comments to come. We'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Yes, Queens to 87948. And you know what? I sing that in my sleep. I think I even made a little jingle around the house. Sometimes I'll go around here and sing it. So it's really easy. Pick up your phone. Go ahead and do that now so that you don't miss an episode at all. Now listen, We have a really good comment from another one of our queens who happens to be at a very important event right now. She says the ring don't make the marriage better. It just looks pretty and goes with the wedding. I want my marriage to be strong and shiny. Let's spend that money on a house. Totally agree. I'm going to get y'all all on a little secret. My husband and I had a really small wedding, and I walked down the aisle in a dress that was less than $20. I could care less. I wanted my husband. I didn't want to worry about having to go buy
Girl, look,
something.
and you still married, right?
We still together over 30 years. All right.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And I will keep it that way. So listen, this brings up another good point, though, because I do have friends that would be very offended by this. So, Joe, have you ever dealt with a situation where money or the lack of it might have caused a conflict in your relationship or someone that you know's relationship? I know you're a therapist. You probably hear this all the time, but I want to know if you actually had this happen in your life at some point.
For me, no. I was younger when I was in my 20s when I got married. So, I wasn't really, I didn't have the income. So I did what I could and bought what I could buy. Now there is some times where I look back and I'd be like, man, I should replace that ring. But it's never been an issue. My wife she sounds like you sound, I mean, she don't care about these type of things. So no, it's never been a thing, but I do see it a lot. And especially when these couples are about to get married in the premarital counseling sessions, they go back and forth about money and having no understanding of, what their visions are financially. So, you're pouring into, this wedding, not realizing, the 40-year-old version of you is going to look back and like, well, we could have did some things with that, with that $20,000-$30,000 you spending for rings and weddings. So have a vision, or at least consult with each other about what your individual vision is financially for your relationship and for your marriage before you start spending that kind of money, because you might be putting yourself in a deficit already.
It's interesting because I think she was more shooketh, as they say, that he had actually given it to someone else before even putting any thought into it with her. But let's look at some of the comments that were under this post, because some of them are really interesting. Of course, we're going to have a lot of little clownings, but there were some really good points in some of the people's comments on this post. It's coming. There we go. Price drop. A Temu ring, and it'll probably turn her whole arm green. Chocolate Bay said, at first I thought if he doesn't earn much, I can understand, but he earns $200,000 and buy a $38 ring on Temu. So he feels OP worth is a fake cheap ring that could turn green while wearing it too long. And then Natalie says, if it didn't matter, why did he feel he needed to hide where he got it? Because she actually later on in the article said that she dug deep and started questioning him for it. He didn't really want to tell her where he got it from. And then Mush Girl said, honestly, I agree with OP for worrying about how sturdy the ring is. Temu is cheap, but a lot of their stuff is very poorly made. Yes, it is. Now, out of these comments here, I have to tell you, the last one is the one that really stands out to me. These diamond companies have truly succeeded in tying someone's worth as a partner to the price tag of jewelry. So with that being said, I want to share this fact with you about how we got to this point of this rule of this 2 to 3 months. In the early 30s, I believe, it was an actual jewelry company that put this out and created this whole thing around what a ring is worth. They were not making a lot of money. And let's see, I can't even think of the name of the company. I'm going to check, see if I can find that. But
Is it De Beers?
I'm sorry?
Is it De Beers, the company?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. And so they came up with this whole plan to make it seem like they're worth it, and you should pay 2 to 3 months worth of salary. So it was all a marketing ploy. And we as sheeple picked up on it and decided to make it a norm. So I think it's time that we actually debunk that myth and we really start looking out for our generational wealth. So Erica, do you think the thought behind the ring is more important than its costs? But where do you draw the line?
I think, and it could be because I'm a woman of a certain age. I think at this point, because of the standard of marriage, I mean, people have taken marriage and just made it just something to do, like making a decision to get up and go to the park or go for a jog. Like people are, yeah, exactly. People are not taking this seriously. And at this point, I think I'd rather us sit down and have a conversation. I go through I want to meet, vet, date, courtship. What does this look like? I really don't need a big surprise, oh, surprise, let's get married. Let's have a conversation about what our marriage would look like. I don't want to wear my marriage or my relationship as an accessory. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They make an accessory out of the marriage. You hear people say like, oh, the wedding, the marriage is just a piece of paper. I mean, okay, but the paper at this point means more than the diamond. Let's just be honest.
Because Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Exactly. So I'm more concerned about the piece of paper than the diamond.
I totally agree. I'd rather put that quality into my marriage. But I told y'all, I walked down the aisle in a dress that was less than $25, was just as happy as I could be. Didn't care. So Moya, do you think, after we've talked about how all this got put into play, do you think the thought behind the ring is more important than its cost? And I want to know if you also draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. So one of the things, like I remember Paris Hilton when she got married, I think he gave her some enormous ring. I think it was like 22 carats. I have no idea how big it was. But the ring that she wears is always a fake ring. She doesn't wear the real ring. So it's almost like, what was the point of the real ring if you're not even going to wear it? Just to say that's the carat value of the ring. So I could definitely understand it in terms of saying the amount and the value doesn't matter. I think for me, I either want to do it or not do it. Meaning like, I'd rather you not get me like a ring that doesn't look well. I'd rather you just get me like a plain band or something. I'd rather at this age, I wouldn't want it.
I think with a lot of these celebrity weddings, and I think a lot of people look at their favorite celebrity or follow like, the trending news. And what many of us on this side of things don't realize is a lot of those people, when they get married, those women have dowries, and those men have to make certain investments and purchases, because at the end, if that marriage ends, she's going to cash that in. She's not keeping that diamond. That was a piece of money. It's an investment, and she can get a high return on it once she sells it. So a lot of these things that you see, like, oh, he bought her this, he bought her that, that's a dowry. That was a requirement. He paid for her. And those of us here on the real side of things, we can't do that.
Right. That's right. That's right. And what's interesting is then what happens if something happens to your marriage? I read the other day that Tia Mowry, with her divorce ring, she couldn't bring herself to sell it or get rid of it. So what she did is she actually had it rejeweled to give to her children. She made a beautiful ring for her daughter and like a bracelet or something for her son from that wedding ring, because she wanted them to have something from the marriage that they had. And I thought that was a really good idea to do. I'm sorry, I just don't want to put that much worth into something that's material, because material things to me are just not that important. I'd rather have my husband than a ring. I'll go around ringless. I could care less as long as I have him by my side. And with that being said, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish discussing this. We've got some really good comments, y'all, from everybody, our viewership family. We'll be right back.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
And that's what we're talking about. Get your money right. There are priorities. You hear everybody talking about how they want generational wealth. And if you don't even know where to begin with that, we have a lot of resources for you there at this website. So I always like to say, if you don't know where you are, then all you need to do is get on the starting line. Because if you get on the starting line, you can see the goal. So make sure that you go and download those, because we want to help you start with that generational wealth. Now, listen, we had a really good comment from Deborah, and she says, does the man really love the woman? Because he would have considered her feelings if he really cared. So, Joe, that brings me to a question to you. Does the cost of an engagement ring reflect how much a partner values the relationship, or is that just societal pressure?
It does no. There's no way in the world that you can equate a man's love for his woman by how much he spends on a wedding ring. And I think that even that thought process will make me question how much the woman loves the man. So no, I'm not going to make that. I want to make that comparison at all. I do wonder though, if he loves her though, because of the way he, callously just said something that was obviously going to hurt her feelings. But again, I don't know what's going on with this video because she's still wearing that ring. So I would really like to sit this couple down and have a conversation and try to understand, what are y'all on right now? What are y'all on right now? But also, Big Mac made a comment. He said that ring don't look half bad. So hey, get it how you live.
No, but she said she loved it. She loved
Yeah,
it
she
up
loves
to
it.
that
She loves it.
point. She said she
loves it.
loved that ring until she started getting all the story around it. Erica, why do you think that changed her perception of the ring itself? And now it's a problem. And she's upset. I mean, because you obviously saw she shook it to the core after finding out, when she actually said she loved it.
I think what it is that the sentimental value piece is gone, because that was supposed to be the one thing that he got her that sealed the deal of their relationship. She remembered, she has all the memories attached to that moment of proposal, to that ring. And now, so does someone else named Erica. So, so does someone else named Erica. And, there's probably somebody else that's attached to that ring as well. I mean, so the sentimental value piece of it is gone. She's worn it so long. At this point, we don't know how long she's been married. I don't know if she said, but at this point, she has no choice but to be happy with that ring. Because you know what? If he was that half-ass, and I can't find any other words to say right now, if he was that half-ass about the ring, he's been half-ass about so many other things in their relationship, and she's just deciding to overlook it. And that's the way I see it.
I agree. I totally agree.
Hold
No, wait a
on.
minute, Joe, come on in, because I want to hear your thought on that. I want to hear your thought on that.
You don't know that. Listen, she has already gotten to a place where she's willing to accept that this happened. You know what I mean? She's accepted the ring. She's accepted the fact that, he got it for somebody else. So it's a very good chance that both of them come into that situation. Either this is who they are, whole, or they're both being half-assed. So
I agree with that. So she's accepted. Okay. She's accepted that, because honestly, if you're willing to accept something, that means you're a part of that something. So if she's going to accept him being half-assed, that means she's half-assed in some areas of herself. Like attracts like.
Right. Men follow those boundaries, right? So there's the boundaries that she set, do not.
If she set them.
That's what I mean. But whatever she said is what we're gonna follow. You know what I mean? So there's no consequences for acting like this. Then I have a woman that she's cool with this used Temu ring, because this is these are the boundaries that have been established in our relationship. So you know what? You're probably right on some level. Okay, once you go at this half-eaten double cheeseburger from McDonald's too, because this is what we do in our relationship.
Well, that brings up a great question. So, Moya, what does his behavior say about this? About how does this affect his transparency and honesty in this relationship? She didn't find this out till after.
Yeah, but I agree with what Erica's saying, that he's probably shown signs earlier than this moment. And because she's accepted them, that's what gave the grounds for this to even transpire. And so I think, as what Joe was alluding to, the bigger question is how they both see themselves in this moment, and if they need to see themselves and their worth and their value higher than what's being presented by each of them, because she's accepting it. And obviously he must feel some type of way where he's earning $200K and thinking this $38 ring from Temu is okay.
Right. Well, hey, listen, they obviously did not have this discussion before they got married because she said that they're married. So I'm thinking that maybe his cheapness, frugality, could cause more problems in the relationship later. So Erica, do you think that how a person handles their money during an engagement or before you're married is a sign of how they're going to manage it in their marriage?
You know what? That's a great question, because how I behave single with my money is not necessarily how I would behave married with my money, because right now it's just me. I can do what I want to do with my money. There's nobody else for me to take into consideration. But once you're in the situation and now we start having to have conversations, there are so many other things to think about. There's the 401k to think about. There's living wills to think about. There's investments to think about. There's insurance policies to think about. So there's so much to take into consideration of how things will look married. And I think that's the question most people don't ask. Like, okay, I want to be exclusive. I want us to get married. And I don't think women ask the question, well, what does that look like?
Now they got the fairy tale Cinderella thing in their mind, because
right.
all little girls have pitched that. You want the dream wedding and stuff, and you let those type of things get in your head instead of asking the hard questions. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's like, what does it look like? Especially if you're marrying a man who has children from a previous relationship, you need to know, what does this marriage look like? Because his finances are already divided into another home that he is responsible for. So you need to know, what is that going to look like for us? And that's a hard conversation to have, because once you realize what it can look like before you actually get into it, you may not go ahead with it. And I think that's the fear. And people get so, riled up the fact, like, oh my God, I'm getting married, and I don't want to lose this moment. It's like, you could end up getting married, and because you didn't ask that one question, you could end up in the pits of hell. When all you had to do was just have that conversation and ask that question, regardless of what comes out of it. At least you would have saved you and him, going to the abyss of hell, just because nobody wanted to have a hard conversation.
I agree. But listen, we even got another video that we got to watch. So it's going to be really interesting to hear what we've got to say and come up with an audience. We want to hear what you got to say too. Sit back and check this out, and let's continue the conversation.
We do have an update.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh God.
Literally, he came home this morning while I was in a work from home meeting. These comments made my head spin all night. I got like 3 hours of sleep, so I admit I may be in the wrong for bringing up his finances, but I did. The gold digger rumors. When we met, I was making more than him and often paying for his things. His high-paying job is a recent development. I have my own money and don't need his. I asked him what was going on, if there was anything he needed to tell me, if he was testing me by doing this. Well, that really set him off. Quote, "What kind of person do you think I am? You think I'm a cheapskate? A liar? You obviously think really poorly of me." But still, he never gave me a reason. So I asked why he was deflecting every question to victimize himself and to avoid my questions. He tried to leave again.
Come on.
Why? This is not like...
This is really bad.
So I tried de-escalating and told him I see where he's coming from, but I need to know if he still loves me. He was immediately apologetic and still wants to get married. He said I can just pick my ring out and buy it with my own money. He said he's sick of talking about this and it's water under the bridge now.
Honey, you barely talked about it. You're already tired?
He's acting like his normal self again since this conversation. I hear him out there, skipping around and humming to himself all happily, and it's actually pissing me off. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I don't think I can handle a marriage with someone like this.
Ooh, all right, Moya. Now, obviously, some people think this situation is less about the ring and more about the respect and thoughtfulness. Do you agree that this speaks to deeper issues about communication and values in this relationship?
I think it definitely speaks to values. Because at this point, what made him upset? Like, what was the part that, because, clearly she's not in it for the money, as she said. But I think it has to do with how he values her. And more importantly, I always say how you value yourself, how she values herself, where she would even allow this. Because the answer isn't, let me go buy my own ring with my own money. Like, that's not what this is. And for him to now be in, as she said, his happy place, that's even more concerning.
I'm really concerned about that. And I want to hear what you have to say about that, Joe, because this seems to be, this is going to be a wound that's continued to fester. And obviously he doesn't want to discuss it. So there's something deep here. And what do you think the root of this could possibly be that he doesn't want to even talk about it?
Yeah, most times when not all the times, okay? So don't nobody hope, but most times when you see stuff like this, there is shame underneath that rock. So there is something about this situation that is causing him shame, and it manifests itself as anger and avoidance, right? So whatever's going on, those buttons that he pushed that he's trying to avoid, it's not the answer. Like, avoidance is not the answer. They need to have a serious conversation about whatever it is that's making him angry. Once a situation escalates in any relationship, whatever is going on, you're having a conversation that it escalates somehow, some way, and it might seem like it's just obvious as to why it's escalating. So you just think of you kind of write it off as just having an argument, or the bumps and bruises of marriage. No, every single time you are in a situation with your partner, okay, you guys are in a loving relationship. You are teammates, which means you all should want the exact same thing, goal wise, or at least as individuals. I want you to have whatever you want, and you should want me to have whatever I want. So whenever we're having a conversation about anything and it escalates, this is an indication that you need help. And then you say that's not logical, right? That's not logical. Why? Why do I need to run to a counselor every single time we have an argument? That's just part of marriage. That's what, listen, get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that. There is no logic in two people who love each other and care deeply for each other having an escalated argument. There's no logic in it. Dig underneath and see what's going on.
Yeah, because it's always a root. And the thing, it seems
Always.
to me right now with these young couples, is the first argument that they have, they're ready to divorce instead of getting down to the root of it. Which brings me back to my belief. My personal belief is, before you get married, you need to go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to marital therapy, whether it be a traditional therapist or even a therapist from your church. You need to go get guidance so you can get on the same page, so that when you're taking these vows, which I take extremely seriously, you understand what you are committing to when you're doing that. But hey, that's just me. Maybe I'm old fashioned. Listen, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to continue this conversation.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews, so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
All right. So, we're always open to having you come on the panel. So we want you to make sure that if you have something to say, don't be camera shy. You are here with family. And you know that all of us here love one another. And even if we have a difference of opinion, guess what? We still love each other and skip hand in hand down the street. So go on and send your email in so that you can be on the panel to info@realvirtual.net. That's info@REELVIRTUAL.net. Get it on in there. You want to. You got something to say. Erica, is the engagement ring more symbolic of love? And can love be enough without this material gesture, like this expensive or non-expensive ring?
I think it's because I think it's tradition. And I think people get tied into tradition. You know, like, oh, it's tradition for us to do this. It's tradition for the men in the family to propose at a big dinner party. It's tradition to get the ring. The ring has to be this. It has to be oval shaped. It has to be heart shaped because my grandmothers did it. And you have to get to a place where you say, I need to set my own legacy. I need to set my own legacy. You know what? Maybe we don't want rings because what life was like 30, 40, 50 years ago, that ain't the life we're living today. I mean, yes, people have more money, technically making more money technically now than they did 30, 40, 50 years ago. But are they? You know, and life is so different. So I think a lot of people are just caught up in tradition. And it is not about a ring. It is so not about a ring. Go ahead, get married, blend your lives, and understand what marriage means, because you're marrying this person for good, for bad, everything you love about them, everything you don't love about them, and you're marrying their family. I've heard people say, like, well, I'm marrying him, I'm not marrying that family. Oh, you marrying them crazy people. Yes, you are. That's a whole end of the bloodline. If they're crazy, you are marrying crazy, because your kids could get DNA from somebody on that side of the family and be crazy too. So know what you're marrying. Go ahead and get married. You don't need that ring. And go on ahead and love on each other and know what it means to love that person.
And I mean, with a deep understanding. You hear people say, you know, they want to be the one sitting in the rocking chairs on the porch, you know, with your spouse, but that takes a lot of dedication, a lot of communication, and a lot of understanding. And you roll with those bumps together if you want to be that couple on that rocking chair. I am, for one, very blessed that my husband's mom, which to me, she's my mother, means the world to me. I absolutely adore her. So I don't have mother-in-law issues. I don't have family issues. If anything, my poor husband had to remember everybody's name in my family because I'm the one who's got the big tribe. And I never forget when we went my first reunion, y'all, first family reunion. My husband came. This was before we got married. And by the time we left, he was like, I don't think I'm going to remember everybody's names. Like, he was really concerned about that, but he did learn them. And guess what? We still headed for that rocking chair. But I'm ready to throw in a wrench. Are y'all ready for a twist on this conversation? We have another video that we want to throw in here so we can talk about a different way of looking at this, maybe. We'll be right back. Let's check this out.
Ladies, if he bought your engagement ring from the pawn shop, or if he recycled it from another woman, like his ex-girlfriend, his baby mama, it could be his grandmama's ring or even his mama's ring. Or if he makes you buy your own ring because he'll reimburse you if you do, sis, that man do not love you. Do not marry that man. And don't even let him take you ring shopping, because that's some game, some bullshit too. A real man is going to work hard to have your ring designed, custom made. He's going to save his money, work his ass off because he knows you're worth it. Okay, you don't want a used ring with somebody else's energy connected to it. It's his mama or grandmama's ring. Well, grandma and mama suffered cheating and they were stressed the fuck out. So all their bad energy is connected to the ring he's giving you. Stop settling, raise your standards because you're worth it.
Oh, there's so many things I don't agree with in that one. So listen, if it was grandma's ring, I honestly, or my mother's ring or an heirloom, I think that's more precious to me than anything. But listen, I'm going to ask you, Moya, if the fiance in the case that we're talking about today told her to pick out her own ring and buy it, what does that say about the power dynamics in their relationship? Like, what do you think that's a totally different twist? Hey, he gave her somebody else's, but what if he told her, hey, listen, you go pick it out and we'll move from there? Is that a problem? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's a huge problem for me. Like, that'd be a huge problem, especially, I love in the video she said, and then he said he'll reimburse you. So yeah, that wouldn't be a dynamic that I would look into. Like that's not it. But I do agree.
Is that a red flag?
Yeah, Lala, in terms of it was an heirloom, then that's way, way different. But I also do believe in energy transfer though. So I think those things are important.
I do agree with that too. But if it was from something that was, like I said, I told you that Tia repurposed her ring for her children. I think that's a good way with good energy. At one point, they were happily married, right? So I think that's good energy. But I do agree with you about energy transfer, because you can stand next to somebody with a funky spirit. I don't know if it's just me. Y'all can all shake your head yes or no. But if you feeling standing next to someone and their energy is off, I can feel it to my core. And then it takes me a long time to shake it off. Brian Shanklin says, buy a ring that you can afford. Don't go broke buying some ring. That woman in the video is crazy. And then Black Lexicon said he could have told her in the beginning where he got the ring from. I think that would have actually been a better plan for her. But Joe, do you see anything wrong with an heirloom maybe? Now, who cares if it came from the pawn shop? Because let's face it, guys, Erica, you brought up a good fact. First, before Joe, you answer that, I want you to mention the fact that you told us about the diamonds, all the diamonds from the rappers. Tell us about that.
Oh yes, back in the 90s, Jacob the jeweler was arrested for fake jewelry. All the rappers in the 90s were wearing the big Cuban links with the Jesus piece and all of that, and all those diamonds were just nicely cut glass. None of it was real. And then it turned into it being an insurance scam because the jewelry was then insured to be said at XYZ value because they paid 80, 90, $100,000 for it. So now you're insuring something that you paid 80, 90, $100,000 for when technically it's worth maybe 50 cents. So shout out to 50. No pun intended. So
but
there was
the value.
Yeah, the value. So now there was a huge scandal. And I mean, I think Jacob the jeweler just was released from prison maybe a couple of years ago, but he was in jail for quite a while because there was a lot attached to it. So when this woman talked about energy, she gives me energy of a bitter Betty. Like, this woman is angry about a whole lot. Clearly she's divorced and she's angry about some stuff and she needs to be on Joe's virtual couch. But anyway, when you go to a jewelry store and you get a ring, you don't know if the jewelry store bought that ring from someone else. Because like I said, if Paris Hilton or someone of her status ends up ending her marriage and she wants to sell her jewelry, she's going to sell it to the jewelry store, not a pawn shop. So you can go into any jewelry store and buy a ring and it still has been on somebody else's finger. So that's why you have to be a praying wife. You got to know how to fall on your face, go to God himself and pray some things away. Because if you're not praying over the ring, that means you ain't praying over the marriage.
That's right. You got your priorities in a different place. But see, now this information ties into what I would want to hear from Joe about. We also know that once you buy that ring, the value of that ring, guys, actually, it's like driving a new car off the lot. The value goes all the way down. So should it matter if you're buying a used ring from someone, taking out the energy transfer? Because, at a pawn shop, that it belonged to someone else. But Joe, do you think that is any different than this $37 Temu situation?
A little bit. I mean, first, I look at that video and do we all have a friend or a female where you're like, they're single and you look at her and you're like, I get it. I understand why you're single. You're going to be single for a long time. So, she might come back and say, I got a man, but I don't. So two things about this situation. Like, on some level, I kind of do agree with a little bit of what she said as far as passing on an heirloom to somebody. I don't know if that is, this is just my opinion. I don't know if that's fair to the woman that you're proposing to, because that ring already does have a legacy on it. And, it's that woman is put in a position now where she really can't say, I don't want this. Because it's potentially offensive. You're talking about your grandmother, your mother's ring. Now, all that stuff about grandma was cheated on and all that's just nonsense. And whatever came or whatever happened to that ring before it got to you, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But I do feel like a woman should maybe possibly have the opportunity to set her own legacy with a ring that's, made for her, not, designed for your mother or your grandmother, because we already got a problem. You think I'm your mom or your grandma, or you want me to be your mother or your grandmother, or what? I think there's already some kind of underlying messages in line with that. But, it could be just
So
This ring
interesting.
means a
That
lot to
must be
me.
the weird one. Am I the weird one on the panel who's like, I can care less if it's an heirloom? I think that that's a beautiful thing to me.
Because heirlooms can be passed down and doesn't mean that I have to wear it. It's just a family heirloom. And then in my head, it's going in the safe deposit box. Like, we're going to have, this is just my thinking. We're going to put it in the safe deposit box and it goes towards our assets. It goes to our value, like what it's worth. That's what I'm thinking.
It's
I mean,
situational.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Eric. I was saying it's situational. Like, I mean, like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the way you feel about it either. But I look at that situation, and this is just my opinion. Like, I feel like, that ring is better suited for a daughter or like someone who is in the bloodline. That's just my thought process behind it, as opposed to, because now you've taken this heirloom and you've taken it potentially out of our bloodline. So that's the kind of the way I think about it.
Very interesting. You know what? That's a thought I didn't think about. But Joe, someone actually threw a question out to you, and it says, "Would Joe cash out on an expensive ring?"
Does this mean what I no? If I had it, it's in the words of our esteemed scholar Little Wayne, it ain't tricking if you got it. Okay, so if I got it, I'm gonna spend it, but I'm not finna break my bank on an expensive ring if I don't have it. No, I'd rather be spending that money. I'm a vacation person. I'd rather be, on the beach somewhere, and I know my wife feels the exact same way. So we gonna be on the beach with plastic rings on.
Baby, I'm telling you, I'd rather be singing right beside my husband all over the world, getting experience together than worrying about what's on my finger. And that I can tell from experience how that feels to be able to be on a stage and sing with my husband, us looking at one another, helping other people enjoy life and music. That to me is priceless. I could care less about a ring. You could not even give me a ring for that. You can't pay me for that. So, I mean, I just think it's just crazy. But D-Day actually says there are women out here with $1 million rings and the man is over at Kiki's house. Does the ring determine how much you love me and whether or not the mortgage will be paid on time? What do you think about that comment, Moya?
So I wanted clarity. So is she saying that she's okay with him doing whatever he needs to do, but her mortgage is paid? What is that? What did that comment mean?
Well, she's basically saying there are many women out here who's cherishing the ring, but yet their man is out here doing other things. So does this ring determine how much he love you, or is he a dedicated man to pay the mortgage and the bills on time?
Oh, yeah. I think you definitely want somebody dedicated for sure.
Yeah, I would hope
But
so.
there are a lot of women, though. There are a lot of women that if you look out in society that are have given up on love and are just looking for security. So there are probably a lot of women out there that will take that $1 million ring for him to go over to Kiki's house because they figure, hey, I'd rather be lonely in this mansion instead of lonely in that 1-bedroom apartment. So I might as well I mean, I'm not agreeing with this, but this is what I see when I observe.
Yeah, and I bet on your couch you hear a lot of stories like this that kind of tie back to certain things like that. I've actually had a good girlfriend who ended up breaking her engagement over an engagement ring because he did not spend at least $30,000 on the ring. He is now happily married and she has yet to been able to walk down the aisle. And she actually told me that she made a mistake on that. So Erica, what are your thoughts on that? Like she now, I mean, as we get older, we feel like our priorities have changed. When you were 20 and someone proposed to you with a $100 ring, today, is that different than it would be when you were in your 20s?
$100 ring, a $50 ring, a Cracker Jack box ring. Let's go on down here and get married. Let's go to the doctor and get our physicals, but let's go on and get married. And I'm one of those people, I don't want to have a year-long engagement. If you're proposing today, honestly, you mean you're ready to get married today if you're proposing today, because that means we've taken the steps to prepare ourselves for marriage. And another thing, when people think about these rings that are $25,000, $30,000, nobody's just sitting around with that kind of cash available. So now we're financing rings. So now that $25,000, $30,000 ring with interest is turning into a car payment. So you're walking around here with a car on your hand and you're going into your marriage with more debt than you had before you got married. which is just ultimately ridiculous. So I don't think people take that into consideration, that this man wants to marry you, but he doesn't want to go into debt either.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. Why would you start
Don't
off
either.
on a shaky foot? As I said earlier, let's refresh the numbers that I talked to you about in comparison to what that money could go toward. An average salary is what people are saying. The salary, 2 to 3 months, would mean that he would be spending $33,000 to $50,000 for a ring.
And can you imagine how long it takes to save that kind of money up? People are thinking like, oh, you just save it up for 2 months. No, because you still have to live.
That's right. You still have to live. That's right. And in comparison, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in an average of America is $420, and an FHA down payment is $14,700. And I just can't. I'd rather put that in something that we can put back into our relationship. I think our priorities are in the wrong place. However, this situation that we're talking about today has so many other little things into it. We're talking about how he had given this to someone else before, how he didn't want to discuss where he got it from, and then it was after the fact that she got it. So this is so much deeply rooted in other things as well. I think we all agree that this issue is more than just the fact that this ring was actually $38. But listen, I want to bring something up to you because there's value in this too. You know, you are watching us. We are here 5 days a week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We have great conversations. We go live on many different pages, and we have over 1 million people who watch us. Great engagement, a lot of intelligent people. And if you have a business that you want to get in front of other people, why not do it here? Because this is the perfect platform for you to do that. If you're interested in advertising with us on Fly Nubian Money, we would love to have you. And you know, everybody who's here, all are on one accord, and we're always trying to support one another. All of us here have a business. So why not include your business in with us too? So make sure that you email us. If you want to get the advertising rates, all you have to do is email us at info@realvirtual.net. And you too can get in touch with your ideal audience by jumping on board with us. And we would love to have you. So we all know this has been many phases of a conversation, and it's much deeply rooted. But I want to hear your final thoughts and where we can find you. And we'll start with you, Moya.
So I thought this was really productive. I think the biggest thing is that a woman has to know her value. You have to know your worth, and you have to know what you stand up for, and you have to say that and communicate that in the beginning so you don't feel blindsided. I am Moya. You can find me on Instagram at moya.business.
Love that, because you are doing the thing with our kids. And I love that, Moya. So make sure that you go and check out her website, see what she's doing with our precious, precious babies. I follow everybody here. I tell everybody I stalk them because I do. I stalk every last one of y'all because I love you to death. So you should be stalking them too, in the good way. Erica, what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Ladies. Yes, I'm single and I'm getting myself together because I want to prepare myself for marriage when I find that man, or when that man finds me and I start dating. But here's the thing, you know, the Bible says a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. Not man finds a woman that's putting herself together. Know what it means to be a wife. A wife, just because you're a woman doesn't make you a wife. And we have to have a clear understanding as to what it takes in order to be a wife. We are kingdom managers. You know, we're going to manage the kingdom that this man builds. So you really need to be on your face in prayer, having a clear understanding as to what your role would be as a wife, because everybody's role as a wife will look different. My name is Erica Lewis. I am the author of Faith in Transition, My Journey to 50. And I can be found at my website along with my book at faithandtransition.com and all across social medias at Miss Erica Renee.
And baby, 50 feels good. I finally feel like I know myself at 50. You know, you kind of search.
I feel grown.
Right?
I feel grown.
I'm at the grown folks phase. All right. I like it here.
But I'm still scared of my mama though.
That's right.
I'm still scared of my mama.
That's right. Because we still know where we need to be in that place too.
Mhm.
Joe, what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So defensiveness and avoidance is a sign of trouble, guys. You can't avoid difficult conversations. You can either have a difficult conversation or have a difficult marriage. It's your choice. But I recommend you have the difficult conversation. You might find out, how to fix and heal, or you might find out that you're not in the right space and you need to move on. Either way, it's better for you in the long run. You can find me at realuconsulting.com or on Instagram. You can just type in my name and I will appear. Reach out if you want to get some counseling. If you want to have some of these difficult conversations, come talk to me. I'm doing my best to lead as many people as I can to the healing space where vulnerability and empathy reside.
All right, he's the genie in the bottle. You know what to do. Go
Mhm.
ahead and put his name in that Google and you'll be
Mhm.
able to find him anywhere. Make sure that you go to his social media as well. And here's my final thoughts. Listen, you have to make sure that you understand your worth. You have to understand you before you can get into a relationship and expect someone else to also love and honest and cherish you as well. So have the hard conversations. Love yourself. Go to therapy before you even get into a relationship so that you know clearly where your boundaries are because you are worth it. And when you are worth it and you marry someone else who knows your worth and you know his, then you can get to that phase of the rocking chair on the porch. I am Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent. I make it easy. You can find me at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. And I actually have some pretty cool freebies up on that site right now about your budget and other things like that. We are talking money. So go on over there and download that so that you can have a little workbook to get started because the holidays are coming, right? And you want to do right. Now, listen, this situation raises the question. Is financial transparency in relationships more important than grand gestures? While some might say love doesn't need a price tag, others might argue that actions like these hint at a deeper financial value that will show up later in the relationship. So, this is a tricky dynamic, but you need to discuss those before you're walking down the aisle. Now, listen, we are here Monday through Friday, and it's Friday today. So we will see you on Monday at 1 p.m. But if you don't want to miss a show, all you have to do is text the word Queens, Queens, to 87948 to get the updates on when we go live. Don't forget that you can catch us on Spotify if you can't catch us live. Then make sure that you go get your money right and your money tight on flynubianmoney.com. So we got lots of homework for you to do. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. But I first want to also say before we leave, because I really love our family, Deborah, Big Mac, we have Black Lexicon, Sanford Dennis, Aaron, Christopher Blake. We thank you for being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Peace out. Bye.